I had never, ever, ever, ever felt like this before in my life. I had no frame of reference for this. I couldn't be like, what did I do last time my heart was broken into a million pieces? In high school, I was a jock and I played on all the teams and dated all the right boys, I guess. And one night, I went out with my boyfriend and I saw this girl and her boyfriend, and instantly it was really obvious to both of us that our boyfriends didn't really matter. And it was sexual. It was really a sexual feeling for me, and I think I became a lesbian that night. So I became like this card-carrying dyke. I would hold placards and go to all the demonstrations against all the censorship of the bookstores and stuff like that. Got right into it. My hair progressively getting shorter. I started going out to more and more bars sort of on my own as a single person. And I saw this one group of people perform one night, and they were introduced by the MC as drag kings. I'm like, drag kings? What the hell is that? So I see these women dressed up. They've got facial hair, and they're like the village people and stuff like that. I'm like, I can do that. I want to do that. I am that. So my first drag king name, Jackhammer. I got to be part of the village people. So I was performing, and one night after a show, I went to the Boom Boom Room, and it was a really, really amazing hopping bar. And this woman came up to me and said, "You look so much like my girlfriend's ex-girlfriend." And I'm like, "Thanks, that's great." I really had no idea what to do with that information, but somebody was talking to me at a bar, and it worked for me. It was New Year's Eve, and I ended up at another bar/theater, and got a little bit schmammered, and ended up hooking up with the girlfriend of the woman that I'd met. Her name's Erin. And we made out. We made out like crazy, and we exchanged numbers, and we were really, really drawn to each other. And then I followed her out to the door, and a girlfriend was sort of, ahead of her going, "I'll flag a taxi, I'm going to hail a cab." And I'm like, great. Start making out with her girlfriend, and it was great. It was really dirty and probably not the right thing to do, but whatever. And I have her over for dinner one night, and it's magic. It's fantastic. Her and her girlfriend break up. They were living together, so she doesn't have a place to stay. "Sure, you can stay with me. Why not?" She started staying over on a very regular, weekly, monthly basis. It was fantastic. And I am completely falling in love. And it's just like 10 times stronger. I thought that was love. No, this is love. I thought that was, no, this, and this was it. It was incredible. It was untouchable, and we both felt it. It was amazing, and the sex was amazing. And I remember she came home to my place once, and she bought me a gift to thank me for my generosity, I guess. So I opened it, and it was a Cranberries CD and a pair of Calvin Klein men's boxer shorts. And she said, "This is for my boy." And that was me. And she called me boy for the first time, and I was floored because I really had felt this whole time that, being a drag king was what I was supposed to sort of be. That was my boy. But really having somebody that you're lovers with and in love with referring to you as a boy, it was incredible. I'll never forget that. And out went the Her Secrets pink underwear, and in came the tighty whities. She was here from the States to be a student, so summer came, and she took off to go down and make some money down there, and I followed her about 3 weeks later down to New Orleans, and she picked me up at the airport. It was great. It was like we hadn't gone a day without seeing each other. And she was like, "I really want you to meet all my friends." And I'm like, "Of course, let's go." So we go down to the loft. There's a whole loft area where these artists work, and she was doing some art for the March on Washington, 1993. She was making these, this jewelry, and this other woman was making T-shirts. And I meet this whole group of artists, and I'm like, hey, I'm the girlfriend, and we meet. And this one woman I meet, she was a little standoffish. Dana was a big, tall, wide, high-haired, bad drag version of Winona Judd. But anyway, I'm sure she had a good heart. So the visit's going along swimmingly. We are having amazing sex. We're hanging out. I'm meeting her family, meeting more of her friends, going out at night to bars, and she leaves me with her friends to talk and takes off frequently and coming back and taking off and coming back. Turns out she was using the phone to call this Dana woman, and I'm thinking she's organizing all of her art stuff. One night we're at home and we're having sex, and the phone rings, and she picks it up and she takes the call and she leaves the room. I'm sitting there naked. What do you do with that? So she comes back and I'm like, who is that? She said, oh, that's Dana. And I'm like, what, why? Oh, we're just working on the jewelry and the t-shirts and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. So, you know, you don't believe what you don't want to believe, and you're in the middle of sex, so whatever. That weekend we took off to the beach to Pensacola, and I'm thinking this is definitely my chance to, if there's any hint that she's interested in anyone else, I'll just win her back. So we hop in her little titty pink Toyota Corolla, and we drive into Pensacola, Florida. So we went to the beach all day, and I got totally sunburned, and I went into the shower to cool off, and she said she'd be in a minute. I kept calling her name, and she didn't answer. Something inside of me kind of turns on, and I leave the shower going, and I sneak out, and I, like, creep across the floor with my wet feet, like, and I open the door, and I look to see what she's doing, and she's on the phone. And I'm like, are you, and I actually say this out loud. I don't even care who she's talking to, because I can apologize to her mother if I'm wrong. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that you're talking to her on our vacation away from your work? So I dry off and I'm like, listen, can you talk to me about this? Because I'm here and you're here and I need to know what's going on. Because my intuition is saying that you're being pretty, like, bold about this and being pretty forward about talking to her on the phone around me all the time. Like, what's going on? She's like, no, I love you. I can't wait to go back to Toronto and be with you. And I believe her because I want to believe her because I love her and she loves me and she says so. So we get back to New Orleans. We hang out for another couple of days. My time's up. We're doing crosswords on her front porch in my last couple of hours together. Honestly, after everything that I've gone through, that was the biggest tip-off for me. So I get home, I tell all my friends about my adventures, and I call, and no answer. So I'm like, oh, that's weird, she must be busy. So I call the next day, and no answer, and I call the next day, and there's no answer. I'm kind of freaking out about this, and my sister's scheduled to come into town, so I go out with her, and I come back that night, and we'd had a great time. I was totally pumped. And the phone rings. I'm like, oh, my God, thank God it's air. And I pick it up. I'm like, oh, I just saw the drummer for the Bare Naked Ladies. I'm so excited. I can't believe you're not here for this. Oh, my God, I'm so excited. And she said, Deb, can you sit down? I'm like, sure, yeah, absolutely. What's up? What's going on? And she said, your intuition's right. And I'm breaking up with you, and I'm leaving you for Dana. So I look around for anything that she's given me. I'm looking around my room, and I look down, and I see the dog tags that she'd been working on all summer with the artist. So I grab them. I reach down, and I just want them off of me. I grab the dog tags, and I go, and I try to yank it. I'm yanking it, and I'm like yanking on it. I'm pulling on it. And they don't come off, because they do in movies, right? They come off, necklaces, they come off. They break off easily, they're gold. This was bathtub chain. It doesn't come off very easily, and didn't come off my neck at all. There was bruising in the end after all that. So instead I just grabbed the phone and I hurled it across the room, and it smashes. And I'm feeling a little bit better. I am in shock. I am more angry than I've ever been, and I've just cut off the lifeline of communication to this person that I am in love with. So I'm picking up the pieces and I'm putting the battery back in. Hello, hello, hello. And of course, nothing. Gone. Dead. Silence. Silence for days, weeks, a month and a half goes by. I cry every day, every night. I had this window in my Queen Street West apartment that you can sit in, and I sat in that and I drank and smoked a lot. And I looked down. Right on the corner, there were these sex trade workers, and I made friends with the prostitutes down there because they were there every night, and I was there every night. Tossed them the odd can of beer, and it was a funny time in Toronto where prostitutes were being taken and beaten. And so what I did, I got a pad of paper and a pen. I would write down the time that the car would pull up, the make and model of the car, the license plate, and see it, take off and come back, write down the time. Okay, she's okay. I felt like I was helping these people and controlling maybe what would happen in the unlikely event that something happened. I could say, yeah, that was a, whatever. That was a Porsche. That was a whatever. I can help you. I can help this. When I couldn't help myself, I guess. I go out, I resurface, if you will. I hadn't been seen in like a month and a half. I'd had a lot of friends at this point. I'm sure they thought that I'd left town or something. And it only took a couple of people to say, hey, you look really good. Because the irony of being heartbroken is that you lose a lot of weight. And there's something really humbling about it, which is, I guess, attractive. And if weight's a thing for you, losing weight is even better because people are like, you look great. And inside you're like, my heart is mincemeat. I saw her, and we didn't say anything. And it took years to actually, both of us, I think, get the nerve to be okay to talk to one another. And she talked to me first. And what she did give me was a beautiful apology for the way that she did things, the way she handled herself, the way she conducted herself, the way she lied to me. All the things that I'd written books of journals about finally came out of her mouth and not my pen. And that's all I needed to close that chapter, I guess. Put it on a shelf. We're friends now, I guess you could say. We talk. She regrets the way she did things. We were a lot younger. And she's still an artist, but she's studying to be a doctor, and more specifically a surgeon. Says one day she wants to perfect the art of phalloplasty, and that she would give me the perfect penis to be the boy that she's always seen in me and the boy that I've always wanted to become. Yeah, she's going to give me a dick. If I want it, I don't even know if I want one. And I don't think my parents really know this about me just yet, but they do now. Seriously.
You don't have to play to the camera whatsoever. So
Okay.
you can just yank and really do it as much as you want to.
Okay.
Because we've got a nice wide shot. And you can go with it. So go
All right.
3 or 4 times. Try and get that thing on.
Makes me want to laugh.